So this is going to be just me kind of updating my user interface guide because I've had one on YouTube for the pre-patch, but it's already like super out of date. So I'm going to go through this really, really fast, and then I'm going to clip this down and put it onto YouTube. So in terms of like the actual layout of my user interface, this is what it looks like. I've obviously moved and shifted it around just as I started playing the game. You know, as I've seen what bars I've needed, what bars I've had it, kind of where I really want things placed when I'm doing dungeons, when I'm PvPing. And I finally feel like my UI now is good for PvE tanking, PvE DPS, and it works really, really well for Arena. I have my BigWigs right about here as well. This is basically just the default BigWigs positions. I just moved this emphasis bar a little bit down. But otherwise, that's where all my BigWig stuff is. And then we also have GladiusEx. I'm just showing you guys where certain things are in like relation to the rest of my UI. Just so then you can, when you're setting this up, copy it for yourself. So we got GladiusEx right about there. If you want to take a look. And then the last one was OmniCD. The only really thing you need to change about your OmniCD settings, which you really don't even have to change it, you just kind of gotta wait until you're in a dungeon, is I put my interrupts up here, as this is kind of like lined up with where like the Mythic Plus information is, and I find this is nice and out of the way for all the BigWig stuff. So that's kind of where I have everything placed. I think otherwise there's no other add-ons that I really placed, I don't think. I think the only other one is probably BattleGroundEnemies. I think is the only other one. If that's gonna show up. Oh, it's because it's Arena. So I put BattleGroundEnemies up here. Just again, out of the way. Off to the side. But yeah, those are the positions. But again, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to copy this, I'm going to basically link the import code in the description. So you literally just copy that string, come here to import, enter in the import text, click out your new layout, and name it. You're good to go. You'll basically just import this as is. In terms of like my base game settings, I really haven't done that much. As my game completely freezes. Hello? No! Not the YouTube video! So, back from the crash. So, again, let's try this again. If we go to my base game settings, there is not a lot that I changed. I'm just going to quickly, like, scroll through these so that you guys can see them. I didn't really change all that much. Unchecked my name, critters and companions, all NPCs, I have these checked. Always show nameplates on. I have enemy units, minions, and minor. Flash on aggro loss. Always show nameplates, like I said. I don't have this unchecked because I have a nameplate add-on. Overlapping nameplates. Quest objectives and mouse over both exclude party chat. And I basically have for the raid frames, I have everything checked. Except for display pets, display main tank and assist, and display only dispellable debuffs. You can kind of change this to your liking if you want to mess with your raid frames. Then I have health percentage. Action bar, I only show 2, 3, and 4. So make sure you have those shown for setting up my UI. Lock action bar checked. Show number of cooldowns checked. Combat, I have all this stuff at the top turned off. Got target to target turned on. Loss of control alerts turned on. Scrolling combat text turned on. Auto self-cast turned on. And spell opacity is at 65%. Spell opacity, I guess alert that was. Spell opacity, whatever that is. Social, I have online friends, offline friends, and battle tag friend request turned on. I have the chat styles IM. New whispers are in line. I hated the constant separate whisper window. It was super annoying. And then I have chat timestamps turned on. Keybinds, I have a video on keybinding for World of Warcraft on my YouTube channel. So if you want to learn how to keybind, check it out. I highly recommend you come up with your own system of keybinds because everybody's individual, everyone's unique, everyone's got their own comfort with their, their hands and how they fit on the keyboard. So I have a guide on keybinding, take a look at it. But if you guys want me to do specifically a keybinding guide on DK, I can, just let me know. Cinematic subtitles checked. I don't think I touched the accessibility stuff really. And then graphics I just have set to 6. And then the biggest thing that I can recommend is if you are someone who is having problems with World of Warcraft running on your computer, change your graphics API to DirectX 11. My game crashed all the fucking time on DirectX 12. Whenever I would be in a loading screen, my whole computer would be bogged down. The second I changed to DirectX 11, all of that shit went away. So if you've been having problems with your WoW running kind of funky, give that a shot. Also, I know that there's like UI scale somewhere. I don't have mine scaled. This is under graphics as well, because people were asking me about this in my last video. I have a 1440p monitor, so depending on what size my user interface comes up for you, you might need to turn this on and lower it or raise it to get it to look like mine. Now, in terms of our add-ons, we have BattleGroundEnemies, like I said earlier. That just shows all my enemies when I'm inside of BGs. Just because I find it really useful information just to know like who the healers are, who I should be targeting, who I should be kicking, stuff like that. So basically, I enabled it for enemies and not for allies. I don't really care about ally stuff. I turned it off in Arena and only have it on in 1 to 15 and 16 to 40. And so if you come down to here, I have the scale for both of them at 0.85. And then down under the module settings, I turned off just about everything. I have class checked. I have highest priority aura checked, health bar checked, name checked, objective and respawn timer checked, power bar, role, spec, target icons, target indicator numeric, target indicator symbolic, and the trinket. And then over here in 16 to 40, I also believe that there was somewhere that I changed this to have 2 columns. Okay, so if you actually click button, you can go down here and set your width and your height and everything. So mine's 220 and 22. And then I do 2 columns, just because 1 column of 40 fucking people was super annoying. And then you can do the same thing over here, 220, 28 downwards, vertical spacing, 1 column for the 1 to 15. So that's BattleGroundEnemies, just really useful for playing RBGs or BGs. Our next add-on is going to be big debuffs. Now, big debuffs has been a nightmare this expansion. I am someone who's used big debuffs for expansions now, and whatever one that the dude made for Dragonflight does not work. I'm going to see if I can find the Reddit thread for the video, but I got to give credit to BikeMex for this. I found his version of big debuffs linked somewhere on Reddit, and I downloaded it, and it actually fucking works. So I'll try to link that. This one needs to be installed manually. I install the rest of my add-ons through Curse, but big debuffs you need to manually install because the one on the Curse store does not work. Big debuffs, basically, if you don't know, it just shows like debuffs big on your user interface, basically on your nameplates and on your character frames. So offensive cooldowns, defensive cooldowns, all different things. So it's really helpful to be able to track like really important effects on what's on people. So I find it very useful. I also do run BigWigs. BigWigs, I prefer BigWigs instead of DBM. It runs really smoothly. This is all of your raid stuff and dungeon stuff as well. So you're also going to want to install LittleWigs because that pulls all of the dungeon stuff in, and then it interfaces with BigWigs. So I have both of them, but BigWigs has all the raid stuff. But really good add-on, really unintrusive. Noises are not super loud. DBM can be kind of loud sometimes. So I do use BigWigs for PvE, and if you do any sort of PvE this expansion, dungeons, Mythic Plus, raids, you're going to want to use BigWigs and LittleWigs. Besides that, we have Details. Down here on the bottom right, Details is just your gold standard damage meter add-on nowadays. No one basically uses anything else. You can literally just install this, follow the wizard to set it up, and you're pretty much good to go. The next one that I use is Gather Mate 2. This basically shows little icons on my map whenever I do like mining or something. So for example, you can see these icons of where I mined previously. So it just helps me kind of track that, just so if I want to go run another route and go mine in the future, I know where I've been and I know where I've mined previously. The next one is going to be GladiusEx. GladiusEx is by far my favorite arena add-on. It's so good. I prefer it to regular Gladius. Main reason is due to the fact that it's got these little spells underneath. So you can track your opponent's cooldowns, not just their trinket, through GladiusEx. So you don't need OmniCD or like another add-on to track that, Omnibar. Like, it's all done through GladiusEx. So I really like it. You can also, though, what I recommend doing, I turned off one thing, and that was the skill history. I turned this off. I'm not looking at that during an arena match. I'm just frankly not. So it just has like a running history of what every player is doing. You're not looking at that during the match. So I just turned that off. But otherwise, I pretty much left it as is. I'm going to do HandyNotes and HandyNotes Dragon Glyphs really easy. Just basically, HandyNotes lets you put handy notes on your map for a variety of things. And Dragon Glyphs just adds in all of the locations of the Dragon Glyphs so that they're really easy to farm. I'm going to get to KUI in a second because KUI is my nameplate add-on and will take the longest to do. Mythic Dungeon Tools is also something I started using now that I've gotten more into Mythic Plus. This allows you to basically import routes for Mythic Plus into MDT, so you can kind of keep track of, what route do I want to take? Am I going to 100% this if I run it? So, very useful add-on, especially if you do tanking or healing or just any sort of Mythic Plus. Really good add-on to kind of monitor those, but especially if you're a tank, highly recommend grabbing this. Otherwise, maybe you don't need it, but for tanks, it's really good. The other one was OmniCD, like I mentioned earlier. So OmniCD, basically what it does, besides tracking your interrupts, I can't really show it here because the tester for this doesn't really work that well right now with the new UI. But basically what it does is on like the left side of all of your party frames here, it adds cooldowns. So it shows you what cooldowns your allies have. So do they have Trinket? Do they have Bubble? Do they have Wall? Like all those things, so you can really easily keep track of what your opponent has. So very useful for solo shuffle, very useful for dungeons, especially tracking kicks in dungeons, especially for Mythic Plus, very useful. So I do use OmniCD for that. I also use Postal, basic add-on. You go to your mail, you are allowed to open all mail at once. Very easy. Raider.io shows your Raider.io Mythic Plus score, raid progression, and raid progression stuff. This is just used to be able to look at stats of other players for their Raider.io. Right now, my IO score isn't super high, but you can see on the bottom right, 729 is a tank. I've done my highest one is +7 to Orca Defensive. So you can see that information on people so you know what dungeons they've run, what's their highest key, what's their score, so you can recruit people to your group that, fit your needs. Again, just install it and it pretty much runs. I also still do use Bagnon. Bagnon just basically, you might go, well, Dots, why do you use Bagnon? Because you can turn the singular bag on in the WoW user interface now. It's such a small pet peeve, but I like that I can move Bagnon. I can move it wherever the fuck I want on my screen, and I can't do that with the regular bag. It's a little pet peeve that I have, but I like Bagnon for that reason, so I still do use it. Besides Bagnon, we also do. It also shows you some cross character information, like somebody in chat just said. Yes, very true. The other add-on that I have is Weakauras. If you don't have Weakauras, you should get it. Weakauras lets you make so many different auras and stuff for just tracking literally anything, man. It's an insanely powerful add-on. Currently, I really only use it for PvE, though. I track the Dragonflight dungeon information and the Thundering Party stuff. This is the new affix that came with Dragonflight. So if you guys see, just wago.io/DF Dungeons, you can get this DF Dungeons thing. Literally just import it and you're good. And then I'm sure if you go onto Wago, if you see the link right there, after the slash, just go to that link, search Thundering Party List, and you can install this Weakaura too. These are the only two that I have. And, you'll basically be completely set up for PvE. And this stuff is really good in addition to BigWigs and LittleWigs. So it gives you all the information you could really possibly want for a dungeon. The last add-on before we get to KUI is Simulationcraft. So SimC is really good for if you're not sure whether or not a piece of gear is an upgrade or not. So basically what you do is you click SimC, you get this big thing of text, you do Control A, Control C to copy it, and then you go to raidbots.com, go to Sim, and then go to Top Gear. You can paste your information, and it will basically sim everything that you have on you, or if you have your vault open, it'll look at your vault, and then you can basically see like what's going to be my best combo of gear off of everything that I have. So it's a really, really good way to sim your gear and just kind of see for PvE what you should be getting. Like, for example, if I have an upgrade, but let's say it doesn't have my main stat, but it's a pretty big eye level upgrade, well, is that an upgrade? Is it not? Should I be just going to eye levels king, or am I going to be upset that I lose the verse? So, instead of asking yourself those questions, just have SimC answer with math. So our final add-on is going to be KUI. KUI has been my go-to nameplates for a number of expansions now. I fucking love them. They're super, super good. So just scrolling through the settings here, we have non-target alpha, which is basically your non-selected target is at 70%. I only have these two things checked. Health bars, I don't believe I've touched. Cast bars, I don't believe I've touched. Text, I have normal font sizes at 11. I don't think I've touched name only either. The main thing's the frame size. So frame size, I go 126 and 128 for personal, 15 height, 15 height. Target size, 128, 16. Minus size is 80, 14. Click box padding is 10 width and 20 height. Shadow size 3, glow size 8, threat glow 8, power bar height is 3, global scale is at 1. Auras, I show auras, show purge, show on personal frame, time remaining. Pulsate center align, top, 15 vertical offset, 25 icon size, 18 icon size minus, 0.7 icon squareness, and 32 icon size for purge. Threat, I do enable tank mode, and I have threat glow activated. These are really good tank plates too, I really like them. Class powers, I have all this shit checked. Boss mods, enable boss mod communication, allow boss mods to control nameplate visibility, icon size 32, vertical offset 35, horizontal 0. And then C-vars I have unchecked. But I think that's pretty much everything. I don't think I'm missing anything. I think that pretty much covers because we went over basically all of my settings. I guess the only thing was for the graphic settings. I didn't really change anything. I just, like I said, put them on 6 and kind of let it do its thing. And then, like I said, with the UI scale, because I have a 1440p monitor, you may need to adjust this to your liking because it might come in a little bit too big or too small on your monitor, depending on the size. So just check this and then size it up depending on how you want it. But that's it, guys. This is my UI. I've been using this now for a couple of weeks with Dragonflight. I'm really, really liking it. It's worked well for me, like I said, tanking, DPS, PvP. I don't have a healer user interface. I'm sorry. Healing is a little bit different. You need different add-ons and keybinds and shit to be able to do mouse over macros and stuff, and I have no experience with that. So I don't want to, tell you guys, hey, use this, because I can't guarantee that it's going to work. But if you're looking for a tank UI or a DPS UI or PvP UI, this will have you covered. So all the add-ons will be linked in the description below. You can see what all of them are, just so you don't have to obviously memorize them off the video. And I'm going to try to find that Reddit link for the big debuffs thing as well. And then hopefully this video with all my settings helps you get your UI as close to mine as humanly possible. I think the only other thing that I have was, I guess, my text chat, but I don't really think I did anything to it. I think it's pretty much just default. So, yeah. That's pretty much it, guys. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. If you have any questions about the add-ons, let me know below. And, yeah, we're going to have some more WoW stuff coming out soon. I've just been really, really busy with work, so I haven't really had that much time to make videos. But now that I'm on the other side of, like, a really busy time period for work, hopefully we'll be able to start outputting more content here on YouTube. So, thanks again for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I'm Dots. I'll see you all next time.